calling this to order at 9:37, long day, 5:37 p.m. We're 7 minutes late because of some administrative functions that needed to be taken care of. So we'll move on to roll call vote.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Ms. Ulrich?
Here.
Mr. McElravy?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Moravec?
Here.
And I am present.
All right, you have in front of you been provided with in your board packet minutes from the July 12th, 2022 meeting. Are there any motions at this time?
Well, I think before we head into that, I would
Okay, so we have a
request
motion.
to amend so we can swear in
Mr. President,
Right.
if I may,
Yep.
I would like to recommend an amendment to our agenda for this evening to swear in our new board member. This is the first meeting he's been able to attend, and so we would like to swear in and welcome Mr. Dave Moravec and our law director, Mr. Scott Solomon.
Hold on,
is
let's
available to do that.
I'll second that. That motion has precedent over the other. I'll second that to amend the agenda to swear in Mr. Moravec, and then now we'll have a vote on that.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. McElravy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moravec? And and I am a yes.
Okay, well,
All
we'll
right,
go ahead
Mr.
and-
Solomon, if you'll swear him in.
I, Dave Moravec,
I, Dave Moravec,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of a member
of a member
of Community Improvement Corporation for Colerain Township
of Community Improvement Corporation of Colerain Township
for the term ending
for the term ending
December 31st,
December 31st,
2023,
2023,
to which I have been appointed.
to which I've been appointed.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 2 is the approval of minutes, and it's noted in the meeting packet from July 12th, 2022. Is that the correct date on that, or do we have?
Sounds right.
The minutes that are attached to the agenda are the May 10th, 2022 minutes. Or they're labeled as such.
We did have a meeting there.
I think the date may be wrong then.
It would be for the minutes for,
It'd be for the July, so the date appears wrong.
Okay, on the minutes themselves or in the?
Yes. Yes, because that's the correct people for the July meeting. I was not present in those, the minutes look correct. for July.
So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, in which case we will have a motion, a second, and then some discussion, and perhaps amend the minutes as provided in the board packet.
So did you motion?
No, I did not motion. Is there a mo-
I will motion that we approve minutes from the July 12th meeting.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Thank you, Mr. Unger, for pointing that out. Is there any discussion with regard to the minutes? Would you like?
I'll let,
Okay.
Mr. Unger?
no, did you want to discuss the minutes that are posted with the agenda?
It just looks like the May 10th would need to be modified. Other than that, I believe,
It says the approval of minutes is from the July 12th on.
Right, I think Mr. Springsteen's point is May 10th on the minutes themselves needs to physically be changed to July 12th, 2022. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion to amend the minutes that were provided in the board packet to change the date to July 12th, 2022.
I motion that we change the date on the 4 pages that are included. Let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 pages. We changed the May 10th headline to July 12th headline.
Thank you, sir. I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion with regard to that motion? All right, so I think that I've got myself in a swamp here. I think that we vote on this, and then we vote to approve the minutes. So we vote on the amendment right now, and the amendment only, not the minutes. So all those in favor of making the amendment as proposed by Mr. Unger and seconded by myself, please run the roll.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy. Yes. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Moravec.
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, that passes,
Six.
all right. That passes 6-0, sorry. Now, now that they're amended, are there any other points or concerns about the minutes?
None?
All right, we'll move to,
Yes, there is. On the one page, it says 5:15 PM, and the other pages, it says 5:30.
Okay.
So the, two of the pages say 5:15, so I would motion that we amend that start time to 5:30 on the two pages that say 5:15.
and I'll second that. Any discussion with now amending a second time to indicate the change in time? Hearing and seeing no discussion on that, we'll vote for the second amendment to the minutes.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy. Yes. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Moravec,
Abstain.
and I'm yes.
All right, that passes 6-0. Now, that we've now amended them twice, are there any more concerns or questions or concerns? It's good to get them right, so I appreciate that. Questions or concerns with regards to the minutes? I'll call the question now.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy. Yes. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Moravec,
Abstain.
I'm yes.
All right, that passes 6-0. Citizen address, are there any citizens here that wishing to address the CIC? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to 4, new business. We have, who's going to be introducing the new business? Is that,
I will do that.
okay.
All right, so item 4A, motion to amend the CIC Code of Regulations. And in a recent review of our bylaws and Code of Regulations, on page 8, under Article 8, Section 3, Records and Meetings, there is a reference to Union Township, and it should be Colerain. So very, very much administrative, but that needs to be amended to replace Union with Colerain.
And where is that at?
That will be on the Code of Regulations, page
Page 8.
8. Well, it would actually, depending on.
Mr. Unger, it's page 15 in your packet.
Okay,
15 in the
thank
back.
you. And under section.
I see
it's
it.
Article 8, Section 3.
Section 3, records and meetings.
Yes. So Union should be Colerain.
And then is the September 2007 edition of the book correct?
I am not aware if, Mr. McElravy, are you?
No, that is not the correct date. Working my way back to the
What is our
transmittal
date?
here. The staff recommendation is to replace that language with the term Colerain Township Policy Book, so as to avoid the need to update the policy each year as the policy book is updated.
That is correct. Thank you.
So are we on the floor with this or what?
No, I need a motion and a second to move it on.
I'll make a motion that we change the word union in section 3 of Article 8 to Colerain and have it read within the Colerain Township Policy Book, removing the date 2007.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for a vote.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich,
Yes.
Mr. McElravy.
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Moravec,
Yes.
and I am yes.
All right, that passes. I keep counting every time. That's 7-0 now. 7-0. All right,
All right, item 4B is a motion to accept the quarter 3, 2022 financial statements, and I would ask Mr. McElravy to introduce that.
So for the third quarter of 2022, there were several transactions, well, two. There was one receipt that was on the 5th of July from Bolden Builders. This is for the closing on the sale of the property at 8725 Planet. And then there were also two payments in that time frame. Both were related to the fees that we have to pay to the state of Ohio for them to conduct their audit of our activity in 2021. The net result of that activity for the quarter leaves the C.I.C. with a balance of $73,095.19.
I'd move that we accept the third quarter 2022 financial statements as presented by Mr. McElravy.
I'll second.
Mr. McElravy, what did you say that ending balance was?
$73,095.19.
Okay, all right,
It's sideways for us.
yeah. All right, any other discussion, questions, concerns? Hearing and seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. McElravy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moravec?
Yes.
And I am yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Next item, please.
Next item, 4C, is a motion to enter into a contract with Plattenberg for financial statement preparations for $1,950. And I would again like to ask Mr. McElravy to describe this motion for us.
Excuse me. As is the case with each year, we are required to submit a set of financial statements to the state auditor in order to demonstrate that we are conducting our affairs properly. And we have enlisted the services of Plattenberg to help us with the preparation of those statements, and we'd like to continue that practice. So this motion would allow us to do that.
All right, any motions?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the Plattenberg financial statement preparation cost of $1,950.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
It does spell out quite in detail what Plattenberg does do for us. So when we don't get the bill that describes all their services, that we can relate back to this contract, correct?
That's right.
And perhaps just in a 2-minute kind of summary, you could tell us why we have this additional third-party vendor for the preparation of financial statements for the C.I.C.
Sure. So what Plattenberg does is go through the raw statements that are produced from our accounting system and synthesize them into a form that complies with state law and allows us to submit an accurate set of books to be able to close out the calendar year.
Any other questions?
None.
All right, we'll call that vote.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. McElravy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moravec?
Yes.
And I am yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, and the final item under new business, item 4D, is a motion to accept the revised second quarter 2022 financial statements. And ask one more time, Mr. McElravy to explain that one.
Yes. So I would direct your attention to the bank reconciliation statement for April 30th of 2022. There was a check that was cut by the C.I.C. in the amount of $49.22 that was not deposited, was not cashed, it did not settle before the end of that quarter. So it was shown as an outstanding check. However, it was also taken into the adjusted bank balance, and what that did is throw off the statements for the 2 consecutive months as well by that $49.22. So what these amended statements do is correct the error, and I'd just like to apologize to the board for the oversight.
A motion that we amend the second quarter financials as requested.
Second.
All right, discussion?
None.
All right,
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
yes?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. McElravy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Morvek?
Yes.
I'm yes.
That passes 7-0. A motion to accept the revised quarter two financial statements. Are there any motions or comments at this time?
No further discussion from me.
So I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Call the vote, please.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. McElravy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Morvek?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. We are adjourned at 5:53. All right, calling this meeting of the Colerain Township regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, October 11th, 2022, to order at 6:01 p.m. Mr. Baker for the roll, please.
Ms. Orich? Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here. Mr. Weckback, do we have a need for executive session?
Yes. I move that I would request a motion that the board go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to discuss the employment and compensation of public employees, and with Section G4, to discuss collective bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation.
So I would also like to invite, I think, well, Mr. Solomon's always there, but also Mr. McElravy and Mr. Baker, correct? Yes. Yeah. So is there a motion to go into executive sessions for those reasons with the invitation of Mr. Baker and Mr. McElravy?
I motion we go into executive sessions for the reasons detailed by Administrator Weckbach.
And I'll second that.
All right, discussion? All right, let's have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
None.
All right, go ahead and
Ms.
have a
Ulrich?
vote.
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. We're now entering executive session at 6:03 p.m. All right, returning from executive session, Mr. Baker, please.
Ms. Orich?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here, Mr. Weckback, is there anything to report from executive session?
Nothing to report.
All right. We stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we just take a minute of reflection and meditation, a moment of silence. In October is widely known as Breast Cancer Month, breast cancer awareness, breast cancer victim and survival, something that impacts probably every family here. We just kind of hold those folks in our hearts and those that are fighting in our hearts as we take a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, you've been provided with minutes in the meeting packet. Are there any motions with regards to those minutes?
For my screen to come up here. What was that date? September 27th?
Yes.
A motion that we approve the minutes from the September 27th meeting?
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Any comments, please?
None.
All right, hearing and seeing none, then we'll go call the vote, please.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, those pass 3-0. Presentations. Mr. Weckback, do you want to?
Yes, so the first thing up tonight is a presentation, a proclamation for Rhonda Lahmann. And to really kick things off, as we're navigating through this critical month of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we started to think internally about champions in the township and people who have committed themselves to making this community a better place despite all circumstances. And one name immediately popped into my mind, and that was Rhonda. If you all know Rhonda, she's always got a smile on her face, always doing just incredible work in our community and for our community. And I could think of no one better to recognize and to honor. And so we've drafted a proclamation. If one of you all would like to motion for that and then read it into the record for us.
So, want me to go ahead and read it, and then we'll do a motion? Proclamation recognizing Rhonda Lahmann, October 11th, 2022. Be it proclaimed by the Township Trustees of Colerain Township that whereas Rhonda Lahmann is an active member and volunteer of the Colerain Township Citizens Police Academy, and whereas Rhonda has served as Secretary, Vice President, and President of the Board of Colerain Township Citizens Police Academy, serving as President twice during the COVID-19 epidemic, and whereas Rhonda is an active member and volunteer of the Colerain Township Citizens Fire Academy, and currently holds the office of Secretary of the Board of the Colerain Township Citizens Fire Academy, and whereas Rhonda actively serves as a member of a Greater Northbrook, volunteering in almost all the events and projects, and whereas Rhonda has been battling breast cancer for several years and continues to be an integral part of the Colerain community that is always equipped with a smile and friendly disposition, and whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Colerain Township Board of Trustees want to celebrate Rhonda and all other champions of our township who battle this disease and still work to make our community a better place. Be it proclaimed that the Colerain Township Board of Trustees does hereby recognize October 12th, 2022 as Rhonda Lahmann Day in Colerain Township.
I motion that we approve the proclamation as read.
I second.
All right, any discussion?
My discussion is,
I think it's fantastic that you have so many family and friends here, and quite a resume is detailed on the proclamation, and thank you for all you do for the greater community here.
I'll just echo that. Thank you so much, and for everybody that showed up today to support, thank you as well. I think it means a lot to everybody who's fighting this wicked disease, and I thank you so much, and thank you for all that you've done.
and for the folks at home, there's quite a few in our audience today that have the black shirts. Can we get a picture of all of them, or did you get a picture of everything? Okay, I think it's a good. Should we all come up since we're with Team Rhonda and get our proclamation?
Sure, why don't we do a group photo
Yeah, I
then?
think we should do a group photo, all our supporters and all the people in their shirts.
Get up there,
That
Jeff.
means you, Jeff, get up here. Oh, we gotta vote. Oh, well,
Get in there, Jeff.
Okay, while the crowd's gathering, we're going to do a quick vote to make sure that, just to make sure that the picture is
Valid and
is
that
valid, yeah.
passed.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich,
yes.
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Proudly, yes, that passes 3-0. Now we may do the picture.
Oh, do you want to get, okay.
Yeah.
Come on. I guess the tall people always get in the back. Yeah, I was gonna say, there were some pretty roses over there.
What a fantastic group.
Oh, it is, yeah.
You guys have signs to hold.
I got it?
Rhonda, did you ever wonder if you had any supporters?
I was beginning to wonder. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We hear a yay in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Ed, see if Rhonda will go to the microphone. Okay.
All right, so we're going to put Ms. Lahmann on the spot here if she wants to say a couple of words.
Go to the microphone, please.
Hey,
in the back, you can't sit in the back. I just want to thank everybody, trustees, support, and Ed and his family. He has been my rock. He's always there when I need him. He was the first one that I told when I got the call that it was positive. He was there. I was almost not there the first day babysitting for him. I am a Steeler fan. And I had a lunchbox. And he came home and he told his wife, Erin, I don't know about her. She likes the Steelers. I turned out pretty good though, didn't I?
Yeah, I think we kept you.
But yeah, I just thank you all so much. I do have one announcement. Women, do not trust a mammogram. My mammograms failed me. I had a lump, mammogram came back normal. I asked them why. Oh, hardening of the breast tissue, don't worry about it. Following year, a little bit bigger. Don't worry about it, it's normal. The third year, it wasn't even positive. I had a 3D scan and ultrasounds. And the black dots showed up, and I said, oh, I got cancer. No, you don't know that. Yeah, I do. I've had it for a couple years. What else could it be? The surgeon told me, your cancer hides within the breast tissue. Does it? Okay. I opened up my gown. How is this hiding? It was a pronounced lump. So, women, do not trust a mammogram. Get that 3D scan.
I don't know.
Please. So now it's moved into my bones. I have stage 4 breast cancer. But every day I get up, praise the Lord. I walk, talk, still make funny faces, and call this guy whenever I need him. He's always there. And thank you, my support team. I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Yes.
I got a lot more to do. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Keep the fight.
Thank you so much. All right. We will go, that is all we have for presentations. We will go to citizen address. I pulled them as I walked in. I don't know if there's been any additional added, but we have 5 here that I just pulled in the order that were in the bin. First, we have from the Colerain Chamber, Dave Moravec. I think I finally got your name right.
Moravec?
Moravec. I did not get it right.
No, I was going to say I know.
It's 7 whole letters.
I've been teaching for almost 30 years. I still can't get names. That's incredible, isn't it? Moravec. Moravec. Good. All right. It's no offense. I just can't get names.
Thanks for having me. I know on the consent agenda, there's a donation of $200. Oh, thank you. There's a donation for $200, and I'm here to present on behalf of Kendra Leone. Kendra is a resident here in Colerain who saw on our website that the township was providing trees into the community, making it a better place to live and work and to play. And she just simply made a donation of $200. She came out to the butterfly garden and helped us plant the butterflies out on Amarillo Court a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to recognize her as an individual in our community who just wanted to make a little bit of a difference, and $200 can do that. While I'm here, I wanted to say thank you to the township for their support of the Chamber of Commerce. We're starting to build additional relationships through the staff members that you have. It's amazing how that happens. as quickly as it has, even during the COVID period. That you've been so supportive of the business community and specifically my efforts to build the bridge into the community, and Jeff has been a terrific ambassador to that. A few weeks ago, we had a fire and police appreciation breakfast where we recognized Jim Bowman and Henry Boyd, and that was a terrific event. And I just wanted to again recognize our police and fire staff for all that they do in the community. We've seen it at work. We've seen it in the business community that they do make a difference, and we as business professionals truly appreciate that out into the community. I also wanted to mention that we're hosting a breakfast on the 18th of October, which is next Tuesday, at the Enclave Event Center. It's a community leadership breakfast. There is a cost associated with it if you're not a chamber member. The public is invited to attend that. You can go out to our colerain.chamber.org website and find that event. But the leaders across the community, Jeff Weckbach will be there. We'll have Daryl Yater from the school district, Assistant Superintendent Marty Durham from Butler Tech, as well as Representative Cindy Abrams will be there as well. So it's an opportunity to hear what's going on across multiple parts of the community, and we just appreciate the opportunity to bring those folks together. A couple of other things I did want to mention. In our last board meeting, I received approval for continuing with the Township's Thumbs Up, our vintage baseball game. It was a terrific event. We had somewhere about 150 people. The three of you guys threw out first pitches. Yes, she threw a strike even. With support of my board and the business community and hopefully the Township as well, we can continue to expand on our 4th of July event for the community. Maybe with food trucks in the afternoon, potentially shorten the game a little bit, make it more entertaining. But there were kids that came out. We just had a ball over the summer, and I don't get an opportunity to share that with you guys very often. I think the last thing is that we have businesses across our community that have had ribbon cutting ceremonies. New businesses like Ryan Homes bringing in a business development. And you've been very supportive of those. Wave Max a couple weeks ago. I think that's my 1 minute. Thank you, Dana. It's all good. But we had one for Ryan Homes and Wave Max, who've invested $1 million+ into our community for a commercial laundry. And it was a wonderful event, and we will continue to have those. 2 we will have in November, one at Crosley Meadows. That'll be in November, the new housing development on the south end of Colerain. But also one I wanted to mention that's outside of Colerain, and this is important for people to understand, is that we support businesses around the community, not just those within the borders of Colerain. A Tractor Supply company is coming in on Harrison Avenue, significant investment in the community, and participation in the Colerain Chamber is a good thing for the community, not just for the those within the borders. So thank you so much for the support, and appreciate you all of that.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your hard work. I appreciate it. Oh, I don't think I get this.
I think that goes to Jeff
Yeah.
Baker. He's our money
Thank you.
guy.
Next on the list is Chris Henson.
I feel like Ed lowering
Yeah.
the microphone. Okay, I'm representing the Colerain Historical Society, and I just wanted to update the board. I know you've been getting copies of the letters and emails, but I also wanted to update the public on the Dean Family Cemetery that I brought to the attention of the township a couple of weeks ago. Jared Ollig from the zoning department facilitated a meeting between myself and Grand Communities, the developer of Magnolia Woods on Thompson. And after our on-site meeting and subsequent conversations and emails, we signed an agreement today to properly honor the final resting place of the 9 souls within the Dean Family Cemetery.
Thank you for your commitment to that project.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years. in
4
the
years, I
making.
think everybody should know how many
So-
emails and everything you've been
It's been a
involved
very
in.
long time, Lynn, but I think it'll come out great.
And for those that don't know, it's out off Thompson Road in the Magnolia Woods subdivision,
Yes, in
back.
the Magnolia Woods subdivision, which is Grand Communities, Fisher Homes Development, right off of Thompson.
And that's just one of our many historical cemeteries here in the township.
Yes, there are 19 that the Hamilton County Recorder has in Colerain Township.
And I believe those are on our website. Or there's a nice documentary somebody did in the recent years
Right.
of all of them. And where would you find that for those who are watching?
There is, the list of them is on the township website. The township takes care of 11 of the cemeteries. The other eight are considered defunct, so they don't actually take care of them, but they're still of record. And you can find more information by contacting the Colerain Historical Society. We can tell you about all of them.
Don't you have something coming up?
We had an open house on Saturday.
Okay. I missed it.
Well attended, very nice. If you haven't been there, come over to the museum. It's open the second Saturday of every month or by appointment. And it's a new experience when you walk in there now.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you for your hard work on
Thanks,
this.
Chris.
Thank you.
Next is, I guess this is Wanda Green? Wanda, okay. Thank you for coming this evening, and a face I don't recognize, so the way this works is you have a 5-minute clock, and any items that you bring up we'll typically address at the end unless it's something we can do immediately, so
Okay.
go ahead, thank you.
First off, I'm not good at speaking, so. There's the old Greener Elementary, I think it's called Goldleaf Ministries now, at Adams
Adams.
and Mills. They are anywhere near being a good neighbor as far as the way they maintain their yard. Granted, I understand it's big, and they're a church out of College Hill, but they have weeds as tall as I am. They don't trim around their trees so that there's little trees growing underneath the big trees. I've got pictures I can show you. And then the last thing is they just dug up a 40 by 120 foot area and paved it. And they're trying to pass it off, Dan, I do believe you said, as because of a water main break.
I was told there was a water main break there.
The water main break has nothing to do with what they did. That is where are you familiar with the?
I know where the
The
school
building?
is, yes.
Okay, you remember where the buses pulled in? That went from Miles to Adams?
Yeah.
That's where the water main break was, because that broke weeks after we just got Adams Road repaved. And it went through the apron of that drive out into Adams. What they did is a good 20 feet away from it, and it goes the length of the building. And they don't take care of anything the way it is. I do believe that they was already told that they couldn't do this before. They just tried to sneak it in now. And then the last thing is the speed bumps on Niagara, the traffic calming devices, as the signs say. Who paid for those? Was it Colerain Township, or did the houses there pay for it?
That was a township.
It's a town, yeah.
Okay, can you tell me how much they was? Roughly?
I don't have. 20,000. Okay.
20,000 for 50 houses? So the rest of Colerain Township doesn't matter? We have people, and I'm not trying to be a pain, but we have people going 50 miles an hour down Coogan. And then they get to a stop sign and they tap the brake and they slow down to 25. And then before they even get to the stop sign, they're gunning it again. You can't do for one area of 50 houses and tell the rest of us, screw you. Pardon my language, but that's basically what it is. We all matter too. I don't necessarily know if I want those traffic calming devices. I would love for Colerain Township Police Department to do their job. And when I have talked to them, they have the attitude, well, it's people that live there. Well, just because they live in the neighborhood doesn't mean that they've got the right to speed and run stop signs. I wouldn't care if they went like 30 miles an hour and then did the old California roll through the stop sign. But no, they're going 50 and slowing down to maybe 25 at the lowest. Somebody's gonna get killed. The street light at Coogan and Adams, maybe you need a better sign saying no turn on red, because people turn on red, and I'm thinking it's because they don't see the big black and white sign. But the reason why that's still is a no turn on red, I'm pretty sure, is because you can't see cars coming up Adams Hill until they are right there. Even if you're in a big truck that sits higher than a car, you can't see it, even at night with headlights on. There should be something there too. And I guess that's it.
All right, thank you.
And I did it in my 5 minutes.
And
Thank you for coming.
thank you for coming, and we will address that. I think we have two more. We'll address everything at once, I would assume. All right, Judy Hinter.
I'm Judy Hinter. I'm kind of talking about the same thing she is. We have a nuisance property at the end of our street, and we can't get anything done about it. I called Township zoning over a month ago, I think it was. I knew what they were going to do up there. We have been up here 3 times about this. They don't want to, it's an old school, and there's plenty of handicap parking down in the big parking lot. They can park across the street on Miles. They want to park right there. I wouldn't care if they parked there, but I know what's going to end up there. There's going to be kids selling drugs. There's going to be people driving through there selling drugs. I've seen it before. They don't pick up garbage. There were 3 broken toilets at the back parking lot. I guess it was November of this year. November, December, January, February, before they even came and picked them up. I know they're not dropping the things, but it's on their property. It's a big property. I don't think they can take care of it. And I saw this nuisance thing, so I thought, well, maybe, you know, and we've called, and it's like, they have dug that up. There is no water main under there. They lied. And it's like, they had a drainage problem, they said, last year or year before, and they tried putting a pipe there, and it's like, well, a pipe that's lower than where you need the water to go is not gonna help you any. We also have, if you got a Ring doorbell, there are just pit bulls running all over the neighborhood. I can't walk my dog safely anywhere in my neighborhood. They don't put them on a leash, they let them run loose. We've got, let's see, I wrote some stuff down because I knew I'd forget. You know, if they would just have put up a chain, you know, across that old driveway. I have a diagram here I drew. This was the existing driveway. That has handicap parking. That's where the buses used to come. They paved all this, and they were denied this at least twice. And it was like we didn't want, because they said after so many square feet, they had to put in like a landscaping thing. They don't know what landscaping is. There are weeds come over the sidewalk that people had to walk out onto Adams Road to get down past their sidewalk down there where the creek is. And they've been a problem since they moved in. I have pictures. They said they were going to have weddings there. Nobody in their right mind would have a wedding there. And, you know, we call it township. It's like there's no teeth in it. Do we need more zoning people? Do we need this, like a nuisance abatement thing? I mean, in my neighborhood, what was that, 2 weeks ago? All of a sudden, cops are coming everywhere. First time I've ever seen it in my neighborhood. And like, we're on the far, like if you go 100 yards from my house, you're in Springfield Township, and we just always get kind of forgotten by everybody. Because it's Mount Healthy School District, you know, and Colerain's all kind of this way. And, but you know, who else can we go to? And, I mean, I have never seen guns drawn, and I saw police parked at 5 troublesome houses for about 2 hours. They had about 8 kids handcuffed in the front yard for an hour and a half. And I think they tried to do a home invasion. I don't know exactly what happened. Some lady pulled up and said she'd called the police. And it's just getting wild out there. And, you know, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that property up at the end of the street, I have seen needles up there. I have seen baggies up there. I have seen people having sex up there. You know, you come around the corner, your headlights hit it. They don't maintain any of the like security lights on the building. They had I counted, I think it was 18 just boarded up buildings. It looked like Avondale after the riots in, you know, the 60s. And I don't know if they've bit off more than they can chew. There's a church across the street. They take good care of their property. You look up the hill, everybody cuts in that culvert there. They do not. And so it's always overgrown with weeds. There's glass in the parking lot. I'm just hoping maybe I saw this nuisance property thing, and it's a nuisance property and we need help with it. And we need quicker help. And you know, they made my neighbor take down a privacy fence they put up. Zoning said you're not allowed to put one there. The day he put it up, he had to take it down. And nobody did anything. And so now they've got this huge thing that they have blacktopped over. And I know they're gonna start parking there. And then we're gonna start seeing tires up there and kids hanging out there. We need some help. And that's pretty much all I want to say. Thank you for getting Adams Road paved for us.
That was Hamilton County, but
But you got the ball rolling. We have been calling them for years. And they just wouldn't, you know how it is, just run around. So appreciate it. Hope y'all can figure something out. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And this is our last one unless we have more out there. Mr. Fiedelday. Yep. Good evening, sir.
When I was on the board, we built a new fire station out on Kemper Road. And did you guys check that out to see what we paid for that then? What was it? I don't know. So did you check it out? Okay, so, all right. That was, I'm pretty sure, design build. Is that what you're doing this time around? You're not? You're not gonna design build? You're gonna design bid build? Or are you gonna build one?
Construction manager at risk.
A what?
Construction manager at risk.
I didn't hear you. Talk to the mic.
Construction manager at risk.
I just don't understand what you're saying.
Construction
You're gonna have a
manager at
construction
risk.
manager?
Yeah, a construction manager at risk is the model that we're using for these.
Is that the most economical way to do it?
Yeah, there is no economical way to do it right now. The cost of these things has gone through the
Well,
roof.
that's the other thing I was gonna bring
Yeah.
up. It's crazy to start something right now. I'm in the construction business, so I know you're gonna pay, if you hold off a little bit, you probably save 25% or more. Wait a year or two. Because you're paying that much premium. I'm gonna tell you that if you do it now. So if you're gonna watch taxpayer dollars, you don't wanna do it now. You wanna wait. You look at me like I'm stupid.
We address comments later.
Well, that's what you're gonna do. You just do it too quick, you're gonna have to wait a year or so. Where our country gets back to making some sense. That's all I'll say to that. So I would like to know what we paid for the one on Kemper Road. If you can email me that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. I printed out a copy. I didn't have time to print out one for everybody. So who would like to have the copy of a correct way of building a building?
If we want to put it to Mr. Baker, and then it'll be put in the record, and we could all have copies then.
You're the guy? Thank you.
Thank you. That way it'll be part of the record of the meeting, and we will all be provided a copy. And you, for the record, you've handed them for road fill? Well, for the record, what did you hand him so that we know?
Fire station.
For the record, what did you hand Mr. Baker so that we know? Sure, I just want to put it down so that people know what. Well, no, I'll give you it right back. It's an analysis of design build versus design bid build. Yeah, I just wanted it written down in the record what you gave him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a way to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Today,
Right,
not 20 years ago.
right. Got it. Thanks.
I'm looking after taxpayer money because I pay a lot of taxes, that's all. So I hope you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't believe there are any more comment cards outside? Nope, all right. Pass that down. Next, we'll go to administrative reports.
Yes, Board, and tonight we'll start off with our administrative reports from the Fire Department with Chief Alan Walls.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening to the board, those of you in attendance. My administrative report for the month of September. We had 789 EMS incidents. We had 184 fire incidents. We made 32 responses into the Springfield Township EMS contract area. We had a building fire on Ripple, $2,000 loss. We had a building fire on Fawnwood with an $11,000 loss. Our reported value lost was $13,000, and our value saved was $390,000. Average response time for arrival of the first unit was 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and first unit on the scene less than 6 minutes was 67.69%. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, comments?
No, thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Chief.
Up next, we'll have Chief Ed Cordy from the Police Department.
Before I start, I from the heart, thank you for recognizing Rhonda tonight. Those that don't know, Rhonda has been part of my family for 8 years. She started as my babysitter. I kind of grew to know the person that she was. As you saw, my little one was up here running around and kept hanging out with. That's her best friend. And Rhonda and Elise have been together since Elise was about 2 months old. So I grew to know Rhonda and kind of introduced her into the CPA and then talked her into the CFA and at Greater Northbrook. So thank you all for doing that tonight. That means a lot to me. So thank you. September, Police Department, we responded to 3,939 calls for service. It's an 8% increase. Still, we're going over 130 calls per day. We are now at a pace of going over 46,000 calls. We responded to emergency calls in 2.75 minutes, which is 2 minutes and 45 seconds. We conducted 152 traffic stops, making 8 OVI arrests. There were 2 uses of force, which one was a takedown and one was the usage of a taser. During this month, we did not have any traffic pursuits. We had 146 physical arrests. We had no internal investigations. Impact team. Our impact team is well, before I'll get into their stats first, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. They conducted 17 traffic stops, 8 citations, 6 warnings, 4 felony arrests, 3 misdemeanor arrests, 28 warrants, seized 243 grams of marijuana, towed 6 vehicles, recovered 1 stolen vehicle and assisted the road and with 99 details. That majority of the time was just 1 officer, Officer Huntington. For the month of September, Sergeant Jake McElvogue and OIC Alex Malloy spent 91 of their hours working specifically on our applications and background investigations for new hires. So their time was very limited what they were able to do. And during this time also, Officer Huntington spent quite a bit of time at a conference with his partner Teo in Indiana. So now some of the good news. This is actually, I'm kind of cheating and tell you a story from October instead of September, but this one's kind of a big deal. So Officer Huntington Bryan was asked to assist the DEA with a sniff at UPS ground downtown. Teo and Brian conducted a sniff on a package that contained 10 large paint cans, and inside the paint cans contained 36 pounds of meth. 36 pounds of meth.
Oh my.
That's a once-in-a-lifetime bust. Obviously, Brian and Teo were over the moon over that. And also during the month of September, we received word that received a federal grant from the Bureau of Justice Assistance for a total of $5,248.80 for bulletproof vests for the year of 2022. This is a 50% reimbursement grant for the purchases of 11 bulletproof vests that we bought this year. Special thanks to Nancy Spears for that. And that is my report.
Chief, just a couple questions that came up during citizen address. And if you can't comment on this, I understand, on an incident on Coogan that was referenced with multiple juveniles. Is that an ongoing investigation, or can we say anything about?
I would have to look further into it, but I would guess that's an ongoing investigation from, I believe at the time, just as soon as I heard how it was described, it sounded to me like it was a search warrant.
Okay. This issue, and I don't, this is an issue that, I mean, we could rewind 10 years and have this issue. Dogs not on a leash, especially breeds that would be considered aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is unfortunately one of those things that we have to see take place. So I would ask the residents if they have this going on to make sure they call us. It's like a traffic citation. We have to be present to be able to take enforcement action.
And I think a lot of people feel that if they get a picture, that's good enough. That's not. That's not good enough. Ma'am, if you want to have a question, if you come up here and so that it can be heard. Sorry, otherwise we won't be able to hear.
I know one of the dogs that she's talking about across the street from me on Field Glen. There is a house that has now 3 pit bulls. Beautiful dogs, but the whole yard is fenced in except for the driveway. And when they let them out, they just let them out. And they just redid the fence because the dogs was going underneath the fence. But they still haven't done anything about the driveway. Is there anything that we can do?
Yeah,
about that?
if you see them out without a leash, then you call the non-emergency number.
321 cops.
Yeah, 321 cops, and they'll come out. They need. I mean, look, we know that if it's not completely fenced in and they let them out, the dog's going to get loose. But we can't assume that. The police can't assume that. They have to physically see that, and if you call them, they'll do their best to get over there so that they can observe it and then act accordingly.
They have to be out of the yard or just out
See
with,
that they're not contained. We have to see that. they're-
which without the driveway
We have to see
being
the dogs
fenced,
out.
just out in their yard, not out on the street.
They have to be out on the street. They have to be not contained.
They're not on a leash.
Well, presumably there could be like
An electrical fence.
electrical fence or something. Well, I get it that there's probably not, but from their perspective, from the police perspective, they can't go onto the private property for that. They have to wait till it's out on the street or the sidewalk or somewhere, and then you can call.
Okay, but in the meantime, while we do that, they could get loose and bite somebody. I mean,
I can't take enforcement action on what could happen. I have to take it when it's happening.
is there any way the township could draft a letter, and even if you send it to everybody so they can't say you're singling them out, stating that their dogs have to be on a leash if their fence isn't completely fenced in?
I mean, I think that the idea of a letter is that we already have in place home rule ordinances that take care of that. I don't know that a letter does anything if they're not going to comply with the ordinance that's still in the books. But we have to.
Don't even know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Just the fact that you have to let them get out before we can call.
Well, it's just like speeding. I have to observe them speeding
I
before I
get
can
that.
take action.
I get that, but there should be something else that can be done because this could be dangerous. I mean, the kids walking up and down the street, she's witnessed them where the dogs are trying to come out of the yard and they're running and screaming. Well, the more they run and scream, the more the dog's gonna wanna
Right, I get that, but unfortunately, we have to respond to what is happening and not what may happen. And again, it's important that when you see that you call the non-emergency number and.
The address, and I'll have an officer try to proactively talk to them.
Okay.
And we do have Officer Boyd.
Yeah.
Yes, for the
In the
church
meantime, if you
also.
see them outside of their yard, call. Yeah.
And to send them out for the church also. That's what Officer Boyd does. Okay, we have that, okay.
All right, and I'm looking at some of the other comments,
But she can talk to.
I have a question. I have a little pug. He doesn't think there's any bad things in the world. They almost killed my dog. And it's like, do you have to see that? I mean, what would I do? Would I call an officer for my dog? I got attacked, you know. I was lucky. I had a bag of stuff in my hand. I was able to hit the dog and he went away. Do you have to see that? Is that what you're saying?
For us to be able to write a citation, we have to be able to see with our own eyes that the dog is out for us to.
So if I get chased and I,
We can investigate it when it happens.
okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's not
I
a good
wasn't-
it's not a good answer.
I know,
but-
I just wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, it's just what we can do.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed.
all right, and the other thing that came up is so on the street light with the no turn on red, it's a hill region. Would that be something that we could put a mirror in? A mirror?
We have to reach out to the engineer's office.
Okay. I need to go see it. I mean, I've been on it 1,000 times, but I haven't looked at it through that view. And as far as the comment of, we do have patrols out there, and it's without respect to whether you live there or not. If you're breaking the law, you're going to get pulled over and warned or cited, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is true that a lot of times the speeders of your
Sure.
street, 90% of the people live there. That is a very true statement, but that doesn't stop us from taking enforcement action.
Okay. All right. That's all I had. If you guys have additional,
No, thanks, Ed.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Mr.
right.
Beck, are you next?
Yep, I am next with Public Services. So just to review some of the stats for the month, at year to date, we are at about 214,000 visitors across all of our parks. The park that seems to be performing the best, which is consistent with prior years, is Clippard Park. Clippard is the one with the spray ground. Colerain Park usually follows, or in this case, Heritage Park follows that with the nice walking trails. Colerain Park seems to be lagging behind prior years at this point. And then when we look at work tracking for the year, you know, a large portion of what our guys in the roads department do are potholes and sign repairs. You can kind of see here by the pie graph. They do other services, and we're about to ramp up for some additional services here for storm basins and catch basins to get them ready as we approach winter. Keeping those clean and clear is important. So certainly if you're a resident and you've got leaves falling from your trees, please do not push them into the storm drain. You may cause clogging, which will then cause other issues for everybody in the road network. And then the final stat in the Public Services Department is our litter collection by our litter laborers. 188 bags last month, so another great month for them, well surpassing our targets for the year. And if you all have any questions for Public Services, otherwise the next one up is Development with Mr. David Miller.
So I'm going to throw a couple of these in here that may not belong, but so this Gold Leaf Ministries that were mentioned at Adams and Mills, we've got, I guess we're sending Officer Boyd over to take a look at that.
Yep.
Do we have the contact information for Ms. Hinterlong and Ms. Green so that we can, if you guys would leave your information?
I believe we have Ms. Hinterlong's, and I believe Ms. Green is going to email Ed, so we will have it then.
Okay. Is there a current complaint out against that property?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head. There is a chance that there is, but we can check that out probably after the meeting.
And as far as, was there a permit pulled for, I'm assuming that if you do a 120 by 40 area paved, that there'd be a.
I don't believe there was.
Not sure if there was for that.
Yeah.
All right, can we follow up on that and get that information to Chief Cordy and make sure that we're all on the same page?
Yes.
All right. I think, did that answer?
And on the issue on Adams Road and the stoplight and the signs, since Adams Road is a county road, even those intersections that are the townships are maintained by the county. So any changes to the signage there are going to have to flow through Hamilton County and the engineer's office.
So do the mirrors flow through Hamilton County too?
Yes.
What's the process? Would a mirror be helpful there?
Ed said,
Probably not, okay. All right.
A light that's lit up
Okay,
to draw your attention more to it, maybe a solar light like they have at,
Pippin?
Pippin and Niagara.
Yep.
all right, I will,
And if you go look at it, I strongly advise you to drive down Coogan and try turning either way on the Adams.
okay.
That's where you'll see the light effect.
All right, and I think we've gotten, all the, Mr. Fiedel brought some information for us and, made some recommendations, and I think that we've gotten everything else. Mr. Miller?
Good evening, Board. The activity and for permits been very active again in September. We had 6 permits for single family, 10 for commercial. We had 16 solar permits and then 24 others. And I thought I would just point out a couple of notable comparisons from 21 to 22. We had a total of 9 solar projects last year. And to date, for the first 3 quarters of 2022, we've had 80 through September. So that's, I think, pretty significant. For single-family homes, as we have noted a number of times in the past, there's a lot of construction going on. I think we're approaching subdivisions of about 500 homes. And so for single-family homes, last year we had 35, while this year we're at 114 to date. So I think that's exciting. And so we'll continue to see that. It takes time. We don't certainly don't know exactly how the market is going to fare right now with interest rates going up and costs, but we'll certainly see construction to continue for some time. And then I'll just note finally that last month I had mentioned that the OKI for Regional Council of Governments had given their initial approval of a sidewalk grant for transportation alternatives funding for our sidewalks on Pool between Colerain and Cheviot. And today at the OKI meeting, we got the second of 3 approvals. So I think it's a pretty sure thing. The final board approval is either tomorrow or the next day. And so that'll be $264,000, almost $265,000 for that sidewalk project. We'll finish design this year and then construction in 24 and 25. So that'll be a very important connection for Colerain High School.
a lot of walkers, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have.
All right, any questions? Thank you, sir.
And before I dig in on the administrative reports, I do want to point out real quickly, this is the highest year on record that we have for building permits. So if you look at the screen over there, we're eclipsing any year in the past. And it's just incredible work out of the development team and the development department. I know Jared Alec there handles most of these, and he is just, he's getting it done. And we appreciate, all the development that we have coming to our community, especially when we can see it like this and see just what kind of impact that's going to lead to for future years.
And these are certainly good times for that. I think part of it is that there's really nowhere else to put money where you can get any kind of return right now. And people are investing in real estate and houses and improvements to existing houses, because any other place to park money right now is not heading in the same direction as real estate.
Yes. And then I just had 2 other quick notes here. I do want to again express my sincere thanks for everything that Rhonda does for our community. I'm honored to be wearing this shirt, to be part of her team today, and I plan on wearing it the rest of the meeting for that reason. And on the flip side, October 22nd is coming up, and that is our annual Give Back Day. So if anybody has participated in that in the past, we go out and we find different homes in Colerain Township that maybe need a little bit of love and care, and about 200 plus volunteers will all go out at once and visit, anywhere from 5 to 20 homes to help provide a little facelift for our community. It can be easy work, as simple as raking leaves, to more complex work, like installing concrete railings and different things to help folks that maybe are at risk of falls. I know it's one of my favorite days of the year, and I encourage all the different residents of Colerain to look into that, to sign up if they can. And if they want to join a team and they don't have any big construction skills or anything like that, my team is always happy to have more people. I am not someone that you want to see running around with power tools, so we'll keep it that way as best as we can. And that concludes my administrative reports.
Thank you, sir. Trustee?
I'll go first. Okay. This was yeah, bless you. Perfect opportunity. I went to a breast cancer pink ribbon girls last Friday, an extraordinary event. It was heartwarming and lots of tears, but lots of survivors. And I have a dear family member going through mammogram, didn't pick hers up, so what Rhonda said, it was found through an ultrasound, so please be true to yourselves and do those things. And for the Pink Lady Girls, if people don't know what they do your grocery shopping, they'll cook your meals, they'll babysit, they'll do your cleaning, because anybody knows if you've gone through chemo, you don't have any energy. So it's a great organization. And so it was my honor to be there. And mark your calendars for November 17th for the Veterans Dinner and Dance. All members of the community are invited, and you can call Nora Dashley at 923-4460 for a reservation.
Yes, and we're going to be limited on the number of people that can attend, so as soon as you see that notice, sign up right away.
And how many are we looking to?
I believe with capacity in that room, it's either 150 or 200. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right.
I'm done.
Well, me or you?
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
All right, going to keep it real short. First of all, early voting starts tomorrow. Dan, I just took that from you. I'm sure you were going to announce that. So, in Ohio, we can vote 30 days previous to the election. You can get an absentee ballot, or you can go to the Board of Elections in Norwood. As long as you're registered to vote, yes, which that deadline passed today, so you're out of luck. It's probably it had to be one of the most uplifting and proudest moments I've ever had sitting on this dais to see Team Rhonda show up in all the shirts and just the hard work that she does. And I remember talking to Mr. Weckback about this kind of like 3 days into his term, and I'm like, we got to make this kind of this blitz for breast cancer awareness. And I'm so thankful that I don't know if you saw Chief Cordy on Facebook with the pink shields. The police shield badges were awesome and fantastic, and some of the banners along Colerain Avenue, and even small things like the ribbons tied around the door handles and stuff. It's just a fantastic way to kind of convey that we're all in this together. The last thing I'll say, which will make this short, hopefully, I did some volunteer work Monday at Matthew 25 Ministries in Blue Ash, which is a fantastic organization. But the one thing I found out that, oh my gosh, it feels like a game changer, and they didn't put me there in this section because I think that they knew it would end problematically, is that they take old paint.
Oh.
All of us have, I have so much old paint. Sometimes I sell the house just to get rid of the old paint.
Well, realtors don't like that. New buyers don't, so we tell everybody about Matthew Ministries. They don't care what color.
Yeah.
They dump all the white, the yellow, the
You're
pink,
right.
and they mix it all together.
All the blues, and they put them in 5-gallon containers, and they donate it to places like right now. I'm sure Florida's going to be getting some. So I don't know, maybe in the future that's something we can do as a township, because everybody has this, and nobody knows what to do with it.
Right.
So I think that's fantastic as well.
Did you see what they do with the plastic?
Next year.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea, recycle day next year, because I don't know how to get rid of the old paint.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the plastic bags, what they do with the garbage bags? There's a group of women that cut each one of them, and they go through their looms and make mats.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome to see those. I think it takes 1,500 grocery bags to make one mat. So when people are cleaning out their houses and have even the prescription bottles, people don't
Yeah.
realize going into third world countries, they don't have anything that can secure a childproof cap. So they take all the prescription bottles. So if people are into recycling, the grocery bags, cans of paint, prescription bottles that you don't know what to do with, they do reuse all that. They are an amazing ministry.
So they had me at the feminine hygiene product section sorting out.
God.
Honest, which,
Okay, Matt, I'm gonna ring the gong on you
Yeah.
in a second.
volunteering's volunteering, man. All right, go ahead.
And luggages too, old luggage, they like that, so they can transport some of this stuff to these places too.
It's been about 2 years ago, but my wife and I attended a church fundraiser, and we bid on a bid and buy basket type thing, and there was a gift certificate in there for Vincolette Winery, which is one of our wonderful Colerain Township businesses, and due to COVID, that gift certificate expired, and we finally decided to use it this past Saturday, and had the most wonderful dining experience there. We called Saturday around 3, and it was date night, and it's a wonderful place to visit, and it's right here in Colerain Township for anyone who has not been there. Go up and check it out, and we have a lot of really nice restaurants and places to go here in the township. The issue about the cemetery, out the Dean Family Cemetery, I've always had an interest in Colerain Township history, and I'd applaud the Historical Association for taking on that challenge of getting the developer out there to recognize that there are our ancestors buried right here in Colerain Township, and a lot of those are little cemeteries that were on farm property at one time, because 150 years ago you didn't have hearses, and it was really hard to take somebody somewhere. So there's a lot of little cemeteries scattered around, and I compliment Chris and the rest of the group on getting what sounds like a good deal secured to get the home builder to recognize and preserve that little piece of land out there. Along Blue Rock Road at the corner of Livingston a couple years ago, Duke Energy built a gas, for lack of a better description, it's a booster station in order to improve the gas pressure for people north of that station. It turned out really nice. Very recently, there's been 2 people crash into the fence. For those that drive by and wonder when Duke is going to fix that fence, we have a marvelous contact at Duke, and I spoke with him, and he emailed me back yesterday that it is coming along, and it's just a matter of getting a fence contractor out there to repair it. So when you see that big dented up fence on that curve, and I kind of wish they'd put something else there, because I think as soon as it gets icy out, we're going to have a few more people wander off the road into the fence. And the business on Greener, yes, I was told that was a water main repair. I guess I need to get out there and take another look at it. And attended a nice event at Don Schwab a weekend ago. So that's the balance of my report. Matt, thank you.
Thank you, and my apologies for hacking up during your report. All right, next we'll go to new business, public safety.
First item tonight is being presented by Chief Ed Cordy out of the Police Department.
Welcome back, Chief.
All right, before you have the resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement for the following properties: 6263 Oak Creek Lane, 10354 Fay Lane, 11321 Hamilton Avenue, 2963 Kingman Drive, 10213 Pottinger Road. This resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and/or refuge at those properties. Recommendation is adoption.
I motion we would approve the resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement at the properties described by Chief Cordy.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to order removal of uncontrolled vegetation and refuse at those properties as listed. Any discussion?
Not at this time.
No.
No, thank you very much for your continued hard work in this. Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. Thank you, sir.
All right, the next item tonight, Board, is out of the Public Services Department, and I will be handling those. The first one up is a first reading of a resolution adopting a right-of-way utility policy. So this is a first reading, so no action is being requested of you all, but to the extent that you have feedback on this policy, we will gladly take that into consideration for a second draft for hopeful adoption at the October 25th meeting. So there are a number of times that I get calls from residents that are expressing frustrations. We just came through and paved their road, and now a utility company is coming through, and they are completely tearing up the road to replace water lines, sewer lines, gas lines, you name it, that sort of thing. Based on that feedback, we decided that we would dig in and see what other communities do in respect to holding the utility companies accountable and encouraging all of us to coordinate our calendars a little better. The intent of this policy is to do just that. It's to ensure that we are adequately sharing our multi-year road plans with the various utilities in town, and that they're sharing those with us, so that then we can better coordinate projects, so that if Waterworks does need to open a roadway, we're doing it at the same time that we're replacing the road. Or if it's not something that's on our radar for the next 5 years and it's in good shape, and it's something that maybe we just replaced, there are penalties associated with that to compensate us for them not replacing it to the same standard that we built it to. So again, this is a first reading for your all's consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
I know we've been running into some issues with new construction. Oh, would this include that?
It probably would not, because most circumstances related to new construction, we're not actually building or paving the road.
Okay, but where they have like the sewer main in the middle of the street that we're going to be responsible for that paving, there's no way we can do anything about that right now?
Not at this point, yeah. The one you're speaking of, I think, was an oversight on MSD's part, and
Yes.
Something we will have to live with as a township.
Yeah.
And as we discussed the other day, I noticed in the agenda that you had run this past Cincinnati Waterworks and Metropolitan Sewer District, and we talked about, letting Duke Energy, which has a lot of gas infrastructure and electric infrastructure under some of our streets, making sure they were aware of the fact that we might adopt this policy in the future.
Yep, and I did manage to speak to Duke on Friday of last week, walk them through what the policy has, sent them a copy of our 5-year road plan, and they're reviewing both to coordinate their schedules a little better and to also give us whatever feedback they may have on direction of this.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so there's no action by the board right now on that, so we'll go to item B.
Yes, so item B is a motion authorizing the township administrator to enter into an agreement with Cartograph for asset management for $44,000. So over time, the Public Services Department has, developed this cadre of signs and streets and all kinds of different things related to our assets in the roadway, including stormwater and what have you. We have not had a system where that gets tracked and logged since probably 2014. So back in 2014 and years prior, we actually were with Cartograph, and we had every single sign in the township was logged. And so signs, they have reflectivity ratings, they have age ratings and warranties, and when those things expire, usually we're supposed to go out and replace those. Without a system that allows us to track that and know when those are supposed to take place, we're relying on a lot of reactive responses. So we decided it would be good for us to go out, look at what vendors are out there, and see what the prices might be. We solicited 3 different firms, 2 of which responded, and I've included the cost for the 2 firms in the packet, which was Central Square at a price of $110,000, and Cartograph, which is $44,000. That Cartograph cost is for year 1. Year 1 is $44,000. Moving forward, the cost is $20,000. Conveniently, as we were going through this process, OpenGov, which is a firm that we use for several other of our services, actually bought out Cartograph. So this will now be featured as an OpenGov product as well, and I think that is part of the reason why the rates on their product is lower than others. With that introduction, I would recommend adoption of the motion.
So I'll motion to authorize Township Administrator to enter into agreement with Cartograph for asset management for $44,000. Are there any seconds?
I'll second.
All right, discussion.
What is the year 3 price?
Yeah, we see 20 for, it's this annual subscription price of 20,000.
Yeah, so for the 3 years that they would be under contract initially, it'd be $20,000 per year.
So 44 is the initial for this year, and then 20 for the next 3 years.
Yep, that's correct.
So it's a 4-year contract? Sorry.
I believe it is, let me see, we got the contract in the agenda. I believe we were looking at a term of 3 years, but it may be a contract that auto renews.
Okay, well, I just was
Yeah, so the way that this contract is written is it's actually only for a 1 period of time, 1 year period of time, and then we would have the option to renew it in subsequent years.
Okay.
Who will own the data? Would we be able to some point just
Yeah.
import it into our
It'll be our
system so
data,
that
so-
if we let the system lapse, we would still have the accumulation of data from it?
Yes, we actually have a massive Excel file from 2014 when we broke and parted ways from Cartograph. So we actually still have that same old data, which we'll be able to import in. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but I would imagine some pieces of that data are still going to be accurate for purposes of this system.
So if residents are reporting down signs or that can just be inputted into this system very easily?
Yep.
Okay.
What happened in 2014?
I believe for budget cut purposes, this was one of the things that was decided that we would stop doing. So 2012 was when we had the reassessment of all of our properties, the physical reassessment by the auditor, and that's when the first time that everything that happened in 2008 was truly and accurately reflected in our township budgets. Since our road and bridge fund is funded by inside millage, it was significantly hit by that reassessment. And so as the department was looking to right-size their budget in addition to downsizing positions, this was one of the services and contracts that went away.
Just for curiosity for the township, how many signs do we actually have out there?
Here we go, 890. It's a lot.
Okay.
And I believe those are just street signs. That doesn't include stop signs.
Well, I
and
said that was a low
any
amount for,
speed limit signs
Right.
or slow down signs or different things
and
like
all of
that.
those would be incorporated into this program?
It would.
Every sign in Colerain Township?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
No.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Passes 3-0. Item C.
So the last item in public services is a resolution for the disposal of property. We have two items that are beyond their useful life and have been recently replaced: a 1992 backhoe and a 2004 trailer. These are both out of the Public Services Department. One is from Roads and one is from Parks. And I would recommend adoption of the resolution.
So I'll motion to approve the resolution for disposal of property.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
None from me?
30 years old, time to go.
All right, Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
And next items are presented by Mr. Miller from the Development Department.
Welcome back, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Good evening. Our first item, 10A, is our facade improvement program once again. So a couple meetings back, we introduced it as a first reading, discussed the possibilities that we could offer some grants, matching grants to businesses that would like to do a little facelift on their on the front of their businesses in a variety of ways. And you had asked for some examples. We provided those last meeting and discussed how Sharonville and Covington and Springfield Township are all using their facade improvement programs. And so we're back today with a request that a motion to adopt the program, and the source of funding would be our CDBG funds. I think at this point we certainly don't know what kind of interest there's going to be. With the three examples that we provided, there was a pretty wide variety of interest that they were seeing, from 3 a year to upwards of 12. So, and then the amounts again vary. We can the recommendation that we have is a $12,000 project with a 50% match, and that would equal $6,000 from our funds. And so we certainly can see some commercial areas of Colerain that are tired, and a facelift could do a lot to kind of lift the appearance of those businesses in that area. So I'm available for any questions that you'd have as follow-up on this program.
I would motion that we establish a facade improvement program.
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
You have 55 in the agenda for that? What was the money you had?
It's CDBG funds.
Yes.
So yes, we've identified $55,000 of CDBG funds in next year's funding cycle.
For people that don't know those acronyms, can you please?
Yep, that is the Community Development Block Grant. It's federally awarded to communities, and as members in Hamilton County, we receive an allocation per year. And so when we were evaluating our programs, what we've been able to accomplish, those were dollars that we saw as available to repurpose toward this.
I just wonder how you came up with that, because 6,000 doesn't really go into 55, at an equal amount. That's why I was just asking how you came up with that number.
Well, there might be one that's.
I know, I'm just teasing.
6,000.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm fine with the program if we're using community block development grant funds. I'm not interested in using local tax dollars for that, and I'm interested in trying out the program and seeing how it goes for a year.
And we'll spend the rest of this year developing a good marketing program, get out and meet the business owners. As I mentioned last meeting, did a business retention visit, and that was one of the things that I brought up as a possibility and got immediate interest. So I think we can serve a variety of purposes by getting out and knocking on doors and talking to business owners and seeing what they need, and how we can help them be more successful in Colerain Township.
All right, Mr. Baker, let's vote.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Next item on the development section is the nuisance abatement ordinance. And so, or resolution, we, last meeting, again, introduced this as a first reading, discussed the necessity of more clearly defining what creates and constitutes a nuisance, and gives us a greater set of tools with which we can help to abate those problems. And so it is back on this agenda for adoption today.
And I've asked that we pass down an amended version of said resolution for your consideration. Legal had one last item that they wanted to change to make sure that we accurately reflected all laws in Colerain Township, Hamilton County, and the state of Ohio.
Yeah, it's just really just a little wordsmithing with respect to the public nuisance definition, but nothing of great import.
Well, could you tell us what exactly changed?
So essentially, just to make sure, with respect to the, 17 items that are listed there that talk about public nuisance, I pretty much, if you compare it to what's contained in the packet, I pretty much just switched around a little wording to make sure that all possible resolutions, ordinances, and/or statutes under Colerain, Hamilton County, and/or the state of Ohio were all included, so that my reading of the way it was that possibly ordinances may have gotten left out.
Okay.
And I just want to cover that
Okay.
base. And that's the extent of it.
Okay, do we have any, did we have a motion on this? Okay, do we have any motions on resolution establishing nuisance property?
To get it to the floor, I will motion that we establish a resolution adopting Colerain Township nuisance property resolution.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, please?
On item 12, any open burning or recreational fires in violation of the resolution ordinances of Colerain Township, Hamilton County, or state of Ohio, that's not going to interfere with people's fire pits, is it?
No, so these would apply to times when somebody is burning things that they should not be burning, or when, it's not legal to be burning due to time of year and different things like that. So it should not apply to residential fire pits if they're following the laws.
Recreational fires on there.
Right, so to the extent that they're following all posted rules and laws around when they're allowed to have an open fire, that they should be okay. example of where this does come up is if somebody's burning trash, for example, and we see the dark black plumes of smoke that are very heavy. Those would be circumstances when someone may be cited for doing something they should not be doing.
I don't have any other
Any
comments.
additional questions, comments, concerns? All right, Mr. Baker, we'll call the question, please.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. And for the Triple Crown here, Mr. Miller.
Number 10C on the agenda is for the establishment of a rental registration policy for the township. So the resolution, again, creates the necessity for an owner of a property that is using it for a rental purposes to register with the township so that we, number one, have a primary contact with that property. As we have experienced in the past, there have been some rental properties that have constituted a greater need for calls for service for just a variety of reasons. We're not stating that all rentals are bad, but we are creating a system by which we'll be able to more easily deal with those problems, and a rental registration will help us do that.
Plus, it indicates what the responsibilities are of being a landlord and our expectations of that property.
Yes, it does.
It's very well defined in here.
Yeah.
And are there fees involved?
There are fees. At this point, I think the registration fee is, was it
$50.
$50, and that was one of the points that we did discuss last meeting. The $50 registration is established at that level to help us administrate the program. And the Ohio Revised Code does not allow us to charge more than what it does cost us to administrate it. And so if we get to a point after year one where we believe that the registration program is costing us more, we could get to that a point here, bring it back to the board for a raising of that level. We do know that there are other jurisdictions around this region that charge different fees. And so I think we've established, based on the number of rental properties that we have estimated, that this would help us establish a $50 fee and feel like that's going to cover our cost.
Do we need to get this to the floor to?
I think, no, we had a motion. I think you motioned, and I think Kathy seconded.
Yeah.
There was no motion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do. You're right.
I will motion to approve the resolution adopting rental registration and rental unit maintenance standards, just to get it to the floor so we can discuss it.
I'll second that.
And my laptop has gone down. Fortunately, I can pick all this up on my cell phone, so it's just a little bit smaller here. What is our enforcement mechanism for someone who does not
You want to use mine?
register? No, I'm good. I can see it here. What is our enforcement mechanism if there's a known rental property and they just don't register it and don't pay it?
So, given the fact that this would be adopted as a limited home rule resolution, I believe we would have to take them to civil court in order to gain compliance. Okay. And the law director is shaking his head, so that makes me feel better about my answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, on that note, I think something to really think about and consider as we're looking at this program is the fee and what our intended outcomes and goals are. It's something that I've been putting some thought to at the suggestion of one of the members of the board. Do we consider potentially waiving the fees in the first year? And I say that from the perspective of, if the goal is to gain compliance in year one, if there is no fee, there is no reason why anybody should not register. Then we will have them on record saying that they are a rental property. And then in year two, when the fee is in place, if then they're saying they're not going to pay, well, now we've got them already on record saying that they are a rental, which would potentially make our case a little easier if we did have to file something in terms of injunctive relief against them. However, what that does not do is help us with our monetary issues in terms of funding the program for the first year. One of my fears, and this is just the way that limited home rule resolutions work, is that we get to a place where we've put this in place, and let's say half, a third of the rentals in the township register, and the others don't. And then we're left in a unique position where we would then have to take that other 2/3 or that other half of these properties to court through a civil case in order to gain compliance. Now, they may see that as soon as we filed something and say, look, it's going to cost me more than $50 to fight this. I'm just going to give up and pay the fee. Or they may dig in their heels and push back. Just wanted to go on record and have that conversation with you all because it's a tricky situation we are in because of the way that the Ohio Revised Code is written around the powers that townships have and do not have.
Let me ask this, because I've been thinking a lot about this issue. And I guess this may be for Mr. Solomon more than from a legal perspective than a policy perspective. If we were to list those that are registered as rental, is providing rentals on our website or something, the property address and maybe the owner or something, and that would signify to people who come to Colerain that want to rent a potential property that these are people that are following the rules, and that there's kind of, if they don't follow the rules, there's a stick involved in it, and that and we have them registered and we can find them. So to me, it would be, so let's not take it from the supply end, let's take it from the demand end, and if you're a registered property, you're going to be in more demand than a non-registered property because you've shown that you're going to live up to property maintenance standards. Is that legally allowed?
I don't know why that wouldn't be. I mean, if that's part of the program to go ahead and list the people who are registered renters, I think that would make a lot of sense.
Mr. Weckbach, how would you feel about that as a way to ensure additional compliance? So if I'm Matt Wallert and I've got one and I'm like, you know what, go pound rocks. I'm not giving you $50, but yet my property's not listed as a on the Colerain website as a rental property, is having a rental license. If somebody comes and looks at my property and says, hey, where's your rental license, and I don't have one, I would think that consumer would be less likely to rent that home, and that would ensure compliance from that end.
Yeah, and that's another idea that we can try as part of this. And I think, to take it even a step further, maybe something that we as the township could offer to them in terms of managing the program, and maybe this isn't a year one, maybe it's a year two, is to be willing to post vacancies for folks. That if you have active vacancies on your rental, that maybe it's a green dot as opposed to a red dot, and somebody that's looking for a property in Colerain to rent can just see how many green dots there are, and the contact information from the person could live in the system, and we could go from there.
Yeah, I think that would be, I think this is probably going to have to be kind of brought in steps, and that may be a good future step to ensure that compliance.
Be an additional carrot for whoever has rental properties.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking, God forgive me on this, I'm thinking of FDR's Blue Eagle, which was found unconstitutional, but that's a whole different, that if you met the rules that their administration had, you got the Blue Eagle on your door, we're given a Blue Eagle, so to speak.
A constitutional Blue Eagle.
Right, because theirs was a difference between legislative and executive, yeah.
So, several years ago, Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority put up a very nice building down at John Rose in Colerain, and it's been very trouble-free as far as I know, and it really eliminated a lot of problems that were previously on that site. Would such a building as that be exposed to this registration and fee? And I wish I'd have thought of that before now, because that would have gave you time to come up with an answer.
I think it's all single-family dwellings that are being used as rental units if you are already zoned as a multifamily.
So if you're a Fort family?
I mean,
So the way that I'm reading this, and this is from page 59 of the packet, bullet point 6, I believe this applies to any rental building in excess of 5 rental units or an apartment community. So it says the fee, if received between January 1st and March 1st, is $50 per unit. For a building containing in excess of 5 rental units or an apartment community, the fee shall be $150 plus $15 per unit. So that to me would indicate that, the CMHA West Union Square would likely apply as
okay.
well.
So that they would be compelled to
Eh,
register.
Yep.
That's correct.
That's a lot of apartment complexes in Colerain Township.
Yep. And per unit is quite a bit.
Right, and so, the program, we discussed this earlier, the program that we now have in place for vacant properties is part of the program that would pick up all these, resident or rental, non-owner occupied buildings.
We've reached out to that vendor to try to get pricing and to see a demo. We haven't had that conversation with them yet in depth. Our hope is that if that is the case, then that's one less system that we have to learn. But once we get that information back, then we'll be able to know if we can move forward with them or not. At a minimum, we've done some things in-house in the past to try to identify rental properties, specifically as it relates to the owner occupancy tax credit. What was that, maybe 3 years ago? I think we did a deep dive, and just by doing simple Excel formulas and tools, we were able to identify a number of properties in Colerain Township that were listed as owner occupied, but by all intents and purposes, looking at the, who owned the property, where it was being mailed to, and their voter logs, they were not owner occupied. And we shared that with the county auditor, and we could certainly do the same exercise here to try to identify who are rental properties and who aren't.
Because we all know all the apartment complexes and big, larger complexes. It's just, we're more
Those are easier to see and find.
single families.
Yeah.
So if we got down the road into the future and this wasn't working, to unadopt it would be just the same process.
I believe so, yes.
And my concern is just, what percentage, we're not gonna get 100% compliance. I wanna get enough compliance that the program works. I don't wanna start a program that a year into it, we've got, 27% compliance, because that's not going to be successful. And I'd be interested in my other trustees, where would you be if it's a year down the road and we've got, some small level of compliance, or how could we overcome that?
Well, I think that's what needs to be phased in. To me, year one doesn't matter as much as year five. I would actually be somewhat happy at 27% year one.
I thought that would be great, yeah.
Okay.
I get your point in that, and I don't know, maybe that's another reason to make the first year, waive the fee the first year to ensure that. I don't know.
That would certainly help, and, not give, because if you come to me for $50, I might think the same thing.
Right.
Knowing that our enforcement mechanism is gonna cost us a legal time to enforce it.
And that's why I threw the carrot on there of, hey, we're gonna list you if you're registered. It seems to me, and this is, a lot of work has gone into this. I don't wanna pass something that needs, it seems to me that it might be appropriate, and I'm gonna make a motion to table this to next meeting so that we can iron out some of these details. And I don't know who spoke to you about the free idea. It didn't occur to me.
That was me.
Okay. It didn't occur to me till now that free would increase compliance first year. I think you're absolutely right. And our goal on this is so I think, and I'm a big proponent of this. I think my vision is to make it so that, most people that rent homes do the right thing. I want to hold the people accountable that don't, and I want to improve the quality of life for those in the community that live in those. It's going to take some stick, and it's going to take some carrot on that. And maybe we talk about this being free the first year, and maybe we talk about this establishment of a database for that. I honestly, the upfront costs are going to be absorbed by us, the taxpayer, but I think it's going to be less than if we did nothing and chased these things around all the time. Yeah.
Well, then, when we bring it back, would you be interested in bringing it back with a waiver of fee collection until January 1st of, we're almost in 23? What would be?
Yeah, no, I'm not against that. I just kind of hit me right now. I need to think about it a little bit, and I'd like to see some maybe pluses and minuses from administration. But my goal on this is to get it as compliant as possible, make it as effective as possible. If we charged the, whatever, X amount and nobody registered, who cares? We just sat up here and did nothing. I want people to comply with it, and I want it to make the community better.
Well,
And a piece of, or a suggestion I will offer to the board as well. So most of this resolution was modeled off of Boardman Township. So Boardman Township actually has gone through the legal proceedings where they've adopted this resolution and they were sued over it and they won. So there is some legal precedence in Ohio related specifically to this resolution. So something I would suggest to you all, if you have the time, is to try to make a call to one of their trustees and ask them how they think it's going.
Okay.
We can certainly do the same with our counterparts in Boardman just to triple check in on it. I don't know what the demographics are of their community in terms of rental versus owner occupied, but I think that would be good due diligence for all of us.
So I know that when we did this, when I was at North College Hill, we brought in Charles Tassel and the rental group.
Apartment Association.
The apartment association, and they worked with us to write the enforcement mechanism because they have a vested interest in having their members provide good housing as well. I don't think that we're adversaries on this. And if they buy in, I think that it can be helpful as well. I don't think he's there anymore, but no.
Well, we're not the only, I mean, North College Hill's been doing it for over 25 years. The city of Cincinnati's starting to do it. When we brought it to the, Ohio, we had to go to that township that won. So we have limitations compared to what North College Hill can do and what city of Cincinnati can do. So, I mean, it's where our teeth are going to be able to sink in is.
And
All on
as
you.
I said, I will support you on this, and like you wish, and I wish, I just want it to be successful and we get some compliance. Earlier in the meeting, when we talked about the number of building permits issued, and I made the comment that there's no surprises here, the amount of home improvement and building permits and new houses, there's nowhere else to put money right now because the stock market's tanking, everything else is going bad. Some of these out-of-state companies are coming in and buying numerous houses. I mentioned at the last meeting that over on Ben Hill, there's a resident that's moving out after 41 years because he's got so many rental properties surrounding him, and people rent. My own kids rent, if you're watching right now, and your out-of-state locations. But there's nothing wrong with renting, but some of these big corporations that have just taken over large parts of not just our township. Yes, I do believe we need to address this, and I just want it to be successful. So, when you think about it, if we can get it on the next agenda, and just, think about what would happen if we waive the fees for the first year just to get people to sign up.
So I've motioned to table this until next meeting. I need a second in order to do.
I'll second it.
All right. I would also ask that you kind of put your brains together and come up with a pluses and benefits and disadvantages of doing it this way. So.
And we can't, and the reason this is just now coming up is because we can't discuss stuff outside of meetings, so I'm sorry you didn't know my.
No, that's fine.
Waiving
Yeah.
That's one of the
I figured
benefits
it-
of having three of us that don't
figured
talk to
it was
each
him.
other. Hey, what?
I figured it was you.
Well, I want it to be successful if we're gonna do it,
And that's, I agree. I mean, I didn't support the idea of never charging a fee, but I think of rolling it up is a much different scenario.
and what this proves is occasionally I have a good idea. Are you watching, Jean?
Well, thank
She never
you.
watches this. She's watching something else.
All right, so let's have a vote on tabling this till next week. And again, this is no reflection on, you guys have been working on this forever. It just shows you that it's just not as simple as it seems.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, so we've now tabled that to the next meeting, which is October 25th.
All right, board, the next item on the agenda is actually my favorite item of the year because I'm a big supporter of Halloween, and that is a motion to establish the 2022 Halloween trick-or-treat hours in Colerain Township from 6 to 8 p.m. on October 31st, 2022. And I will recommend adoption of the motion.
And I'll second that.
I motion that we establish 2022 Halloween trick-or-treat hours in Colerain Township to be from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. on October 31st, 2022.
And I'll second it for a second time.
All right, any comments? I will point out, I'm very unhappy with this because this is Bengals Monday Night Football.
Well, the Monday Night Football game doesn't start until 8:30.
Okay, pregame starts at 4. And I don't want to miss any of that.
Yep. That's fair.
So I'll just turn off the lights and turn on the TV.
Like you do every year.
Any of you kids that come to Matt's house, there's nothing there, so
All right, any other discussion?
none.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Thank you, Board. And the next two items are from the Finance Department with Mr. McElravy.
Good evening, Board.
Evening, sir.
The next item on your agenda is the resolution accepting amounts and rates for the 2023 tax budget. This is the final step in the process that this board began earlier this year that does just what the resolution states. It's establishing the amounts and rates for the next budget. So since you last voted to establish the tentative tax budget, we forwarded that information down to the County Budget Commission, and they reviewed it and approved it and sent it back to us. And the last step in the process, as I said, is to accept the amounts and rates. So staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
And I motion that we adopt the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, this doesn't, so people know who are watching, this does not increase your taxes or anything. This just acknowledges what our rates are, which we do every year.
That's correct.
No other comments from me.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Very good, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the adoption of amended appropriations. There are two funds that are the subject of this resolution. The first is Fund 2261, the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. And that would be an increase in appropriations of $37,500 to take the total appropriation for the fund to $288,149.09. The items that the police department is interested in purchasing are outlined in the staff report, page 70. That includes breaching shotguns, mass casualty vehicle bags, and SIMS training. The second change in appropriations is for Fund 2906, the Sidewalk Waiver Fund, and this would reduce the appropriations in that fund to 0. The design work that we originally contemplated happening in 2022 is going to have to wait until 2023, so this adjustment in appropriations reflects that change in schedule. Staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution authorizing the adoption of amended appropriations for the year 2022.
I second.
All right, any discussion on that?
None.
All right, Mr. Baker, we will have a vote.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Thank you, Board.
Item D, I imagine Mr. Weckbox?
Yes, so the final item in administration tonight is a motion authorizing the Township Administrator to execute a collective bargaining agreement with the local IAFF 3915. Got to give a big shout out to Chief Alan Walls and the members of the bargaining unit. We had several great negotiating sessions and came to an agreement that was mutually beneficial in our minds to all parties. This agreement that is before you all sets their wages for the next 3 years, as well as some other terms and factors of their employment. The union voted on this on September 28th, 2022, and they passed the agreement as drafted and before you all today. I would recommend adoption of the motion.
I would motion that we authorize the Township Administration to execute a collective bargaining agreement with the IAFF Local 3915.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yes, and you said that was approved with no, 100% approved.
Yes, so I believe it was a 64-0 vote, if I understand correctly, or in that range.
That's great.
Nice work. Thank you both.
And I'm happy to say that this brings us in line with some of the other departments and makes us competitive. We already know the Colerain Fire Department is the best in the state of Ohio, the one of the highest ranked, the highest awarded, and now we're going to start paying them like it.
And it did work. I saw some firefighters the other day. I told Chief, I said they're ready to come back to Colerain.
Outstanding.
And this is found in the, it's found online in the agenda for anyone who wants to read it.
All right, Mr. Baker, let's vote.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0.
Board, the next items are in the consent agenda. I do have one change to the consent agenda and one item that I believe you all should vote on separately. So I'll start with item A specifically, which is donation acceptance for administration for Matt Wallert, and that's $50 in support of the Veterans Dinner.
I motion that we accept the donation from Matt Waller of $50 for the Veterans Dinner.
I'll second that.
And I think Matt should abstain,
I
so
will be.
I would say thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
We have a vote on that?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Abstention? That passes 2-0.
Thank you, Board. And we are going to recommend skipping item D. And so the other three items on consent tonight are a donation acceptance in public services from Kendra Leone, which is $200 for street trees, as was presented earlier tonight by Mr. Moravec. We have a promotion of full-time firefighters in the Department of Fire and EMS, and that is Sam Woodward, Andrew Harrington, and Linnea Head at $18.20 per hour. And the final item on consent is a contract with Urban Canopy Works, which is to serve as our arborist for our street tree planting program, and that is at a total cost not to exceed $3,100.
All right, so you've heard items. We're skipping D. B, C, and E now is consent items. Are there any motions with regard to those items?
I motion that we approve items B, item C, and item E.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Thank you to Kendra Leone for the donation of $200, and congratulations on the promotions in our firefighter EMT department. And let's get the trees planted with our arborist.
All right, Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. Items B, C, and E as provided in the packet. Item 13, fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Board. The only thing I have tonight is that the bank reconciliation and financial report for the month of September has been completed. That's correct, Jeff? Right? August. Sorry. For August has been completed and is on the website with a adjusted bank balance of $43,719,004.87. That's all I have.
All right, executive session, I believe there is a need for one.
Yes, so I would recommend that the board go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to discuss the employment and compensation of public employees, and also with Section G4 to discuss collective bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation.
And I would also recommend with this motion the invitation of course, Scott Solomon will be there, the attorney, but also Mr. Baker, the fiscal officer, and if she's in the crowd, which I believe she might be, Tiffany Lee Mays. All right.
I motion we go into executive session for the reasons detailed by the administrator.
I second.
All right, discussion.
None.
All right, we will leave for executive session at 8:49 and be back shortly. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we need to vote. Sorry.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. We now will go to executive session. All right, we're now entering in or coming back from executive session at 10:32 p.m. Mr. Baker, would you take the roll, please?
Ms. Ulrich?
Here.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here, that's all three of us here. Anything to report from executive session?
Nothing to report.
All right, any motions?
I motion that we adjourn the meeting at 10:33 p.m.
I'll second.
All right, hearing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Ms. Orridge?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. We are adjourned 10:33. Thank you.